Welcome to Spiritual Badass TV, Mel Wells. Mel, I am excited to talk to you because you're really cool for one thing, but you're funny, which is really important. Spiritual comedy is really key in my world.
Spiritual comedy is like an oxymoron.
Do tell.
Well, it's just that, I have not met a lot of, I'm going to say new age people who have, they're not very, very well endowed with a sense of humor, basically.
All the more reason to provide it. It's a niche that's not being served, right?
Yeah. I noticed though that people who are like real devoted meditators or who are on the more Buddhist side of the spectrum are pretty funny. Isn't that funny? In other places I've been, it's like, "Oh my god," like, it's very heavy. It can get very heavy.
Well, it's a matter of where you're at. If you're taking life seriously or if you recognize it as a kind of a game or an experiment that we're passing through, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a story about a silver lining, something that happened in your life that seemed pretty awful, but then turned out to be pretty cool with a little time and hindsight, perhaps.
Yeah, well, I think I'm in the middle of it, actually. So, I've had a series of events that really took the rug out from under me and caused a tremendous change in my lifestyle, not only, like, where I live, but how I live and what I'm doing. And so, and it came from a series of very, what sad things and bad things. And so so the bad things were I'd started this business in Silicon Valley with my dad, and it was this like online learning style assessment. It was really powerful. I built out the business and got it sold, and it that sort of just ended badly. And then he died, and then my mom died like 6 months later, and then I was out of work, and I was paralyzed with grief, basically. I know it's so funny, but it was just really bad. And, so after just kind of trying to put myself back together again, just in terms of career, like, okay, I put in all this my life into this, 10 years into this business, and now it's gone. Um, I I just so I started to go deeply into meditation and did the Course in Miracles with all seriousness, did all the lessons, held meditation classes at in my home, and became much deeper as a person from all of that. And then consequently moved away from California, moved back to Boston, and I'm working at an art school now. So I'm just kind of teaching painting, which is different. It's different than, Silicon Valley corporate shit. So there you go. Yeah, that was and I'm in it. So I'm in it. It's like the silver lining. I'm like, I guess I'm in the silver lining. It doesn't, once you're in something until you get some distance from it, it's hard to see. But yeah, so that was those were some intense years though.
So I should ask you again in a couple of years and you'll go, "Oh, here's the silver lining. I know exactly what it is."
Right. I mean, the silver lining is that I get to be here for my brother who just had two kids because since our mom is no longer with us and we don't have family here. I was sort of it. So I just kind of wanted to go back and be there for him and the kids. And then also my best friend is here with an art school. So those things are great and they're immediately silver lining, yes.
But it makes you stop and ask, well, what is the point of life? Like, what are we doing here? Because we think, oh, we're manifesting all this cool stuff, career, money, house, whatever it is that we want. And then the rug gets pulled out from under us and we're kind of stripped bare sometimes. I mean, I've had these experiences too, and I talk to a lot of people who have them. And, you could look at it like, well, life sucks sometimes, and that's a random philosophy, but you could look at the bigger picture and go, well, what is the purpose of my life? Am I being guided to expand in the love department? And that's why these things didn't really have a lot to do with that. And they had to go away and I had to get up close and personal with love or supporting family members, you know.
Right. Well, I've always been a Western astrologer. Like since, and I'm going to tell you, third grade, I picked up my first book on astrology. I was like born into it, really. And then a couple years ago, I started studying Vedic astrology right from India, which is very different than what I was trained in. And what I find very interesting about Vedic, it has really changed my perspective about this rug pulling out from under oneself, because Vedic astrology is very, very much into telling you exactly when something is going to happen. It's very, very accurate in that way, because the design of your life is embedded in the chart of the way you look at it within Vedic stuff. And so, for instance, what I was going through is called Sati Sati, which is 7 years of this Saturn cycle, right? We only get it once or twice in a lifetime. But I had that along with what's called a Saturn Mahadasha, which is 19 years of like Saturn sort of scraping you and making you a better spiritual person. But it's never it's rarely done with joy and bliss. You know what I mean? It's always like, So it's I'm going to take that away from you, and then I'm going to take that. Oh, you don't need that either. And by the way, you don't need that. So before you know it, you're like, oh my god, all my stuff is gone. But that's you can really see that pattern in Vedic astrology. So I start to realize, and some people do have easier charts than others. I mean, some people just have sort of a much easier, that they're not challenged as much. But the chart of a highly spiritual person, like a Yogananda or Gandhi or any of those people, they're very difficult charts. You would look at their charts and you would say, oh my gosh, this person is just like really bad fortune and this kind of stuff, because that's precisely the kind of stuff that it takes for a person to become spiritual. And that goes against kind of all the law of attraction mentality, which is, if good things happen when you think good. But then again, are you doing the job as of being a spiritual person by just always demanding that things be good all the time and that I be in a good mood and my vibrations be good constantly? Because I don't think Yogananda had that all the time. I think he got cranky sometimes too.
That's hilarious. Yogananda was cranky too. Yeah, and I'm really into Western astrology too, and transits can be very informative too, and progressions, and just different ways of getting at it.
Oh yeah, yeah,
But the big picture is like, yeah, our soul has a plan. And what you're tapping into here is a really important question, because we do all this manifesting stuff, and you're really into vision boards, and I want to talk about that some more too. But there are times when it feels like your efforts just get thwarted. Like there's a bigger theme going on, that you can't just manifest whatever you want whenever you want it.
right, yeah. And I totally get it. I submit to it. I have to embrace it, because there are times when you can just go and you think of something and it happens right away. And I've had those moments several years in a row of that happening at different periods of my time in my life. And then sometimes just like, oh my God, I cannot even like manifest like groceries right now. Like, what is going on? You know what I mean? It's funny, the up and down of it. So there is a bigger thing going on. And I think that is really important to respect and to submit to. It's a surrender to. So that idea of surrendering to a destiny or a design or a set of circumstances that supposedly don't have control of.
Right, but it's all a matter of how you look at it, because who does have control of it? And I like to think of it as it's another part of me. It's not my personality, ego me, but it's my higher self, or it's the rest of the universe, which I'm connected to. So if you frame it in that way, you don't feel victimized by it, because it's not outside of you. It's not some force that's acting on you against your will. It is against your human will sometimes, but you got to merge your human will with divine will, if you will.
Right. Yeah. Well, you do. I think that whole idea about being designed and about having a design. That to me is a very interesting way of looking at all of this.
Because you're a designer, right? So of course it's appealing.
Yeah, I'm a designer. Yeah, it helps. I love the verb. So design. But I love the idea about, well, I know like through looking at a chart, I mean, you look at a person's chart and it's just the design is there. And then when you map that chart into the design of time, so your design changes and gets shaped through time. And even the time is designed. So the events that you're going to go through are designed also. So that to me is a big thing. That's like matrix kind of stuff. And the more I get into this and the more I study and the more I experience my own life, the more I am really seeing how intricate and detailed it all is. And again, how much control I have in it is there's a variation to it. You know, there's variables, a lot of them.
Well, that's what makes you a spiritual badass because you have all these challenges you designed in and you're willing to go with it. And just, even though it sometimes is really painful and really sucks, you're just like, okay, this is my spiritual plan. I guess I'll keep going along with it. And I don't fault people who leave, people who choose suicide or something because it's a tough game. It's a challenging game. And we live on beyond that, so it really doesn't matter. It's like game over reset, when we leave the body.
Right. Well, you know what happened? I did this thing where, like after they died, I started watching these near death experiences on YouTube. And I would watch them before I would go to sleep. And so I've watched hundreds of them because this went on for a couple years. I mean, it was getting kind of kooky, but it would make me watching a near death experience video, like someone talking about their near death experience, and there's tons of them, right? Because people are now just, I think, because of technology, because of the ability to do videotape, and also the ability to bring people back from near death because our medical technology is becoming so great. So we're just getting more and more near death experiences being recorded and occurring. So between that, I'm very busy at night watching my NDEs, right? And the thing about it is that I found them, they would help me sleep. Because it was like the same story over and over again. And the ending was always so happy. It's just like, oh, wow, it really is happy. So that helped me reconcile, the loss, but also it gave me a sense of the world that I could trust it again because of that. This is getting very heavy. But anyhow, that's it. I mean, I was just into watching NDEs, and that too framed myself the way I am now. So that added silver lining, like the ultimate silver lining being, the departure date or something, and not to take away from from now, but I think it really helps to be present and to really appreciate what you have when you're not afraid of what's going to happen when you die. I think it really helps a lot. I think it makes you have a good attitude, and it makes you even more of a spiritual badass.
You say it's getting heavy, but it helps you lighten up because you can relax. Okay, it's all good. Whatever it is. I don't know the specifics of it. My human mind doesn't know what's coming around the next bend, but I know that I'm taken care of. It's all good.
Right. I think I'm also a big Byron Katie fan.
Me too.
Yeah, so her books and her videos and the simplicity of what she presents has really it changed me to the core because I guess I discovered her about 10 years ago, and that she rocked my world in a way that has been also very, very powerful and great. And just in terms of just being looser about how things are happening and why things happen.
Yeah, it's all about non-resistance. Drop the resistance. Yeah. And I, and I was taught that by my higher self, if you will, because I get books downloaded through me that I have to write, and one of them is called Resistance is Futile. So it's a kind of comical way of saying like drop the resistance and no one gets hurt.
So how is that happening to you? You're getting books downloaded through you. Do you feel like you're channeling them, or what's the process for you?
Yeah, it is a channeling kind of state. I think everybody channels in their own way, and it doesn't have to be like a channeling an alien or a disembodied character. But it's just a state of flow. Like it comes through so fast. I can't even type or write it fast enough because it's just like a deluge of ideas, you know. And often at 3 in the morning, inconveniently.
Right.
But then I have to edit. I have to spend a lot of time editing afterward because it's not cleaned up. It's just raw idea, you know.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I think that's like just to be able to experience that is so powerful, and I guess because I think in order to channel, it already means that you're a bit porous, you know, and that's even to get to that state is I think takes quite a bit, you know.
I think I had a few times around the block before other lives on the planet.
Yeah.
So tell me about your passion for vision boards. I mean, how do you use them, and anything cool you want to tell a story about vision boards?
Oh, okay. Oh, I love vision boards. I love vision boards because I'm an artist, and so I I was like about 18 or something, and it was when Shakti Gawain came out with that book, Creative Visualization. Right. I was like, wow, this is so amazing.
And she called them treasure maps, right?
Pleasure maps, right. And then so I would make them, because I was a painter and I did collage, and it was just like I would just make them and make them and just make them for fun. I'm gonna do one about diamonds, and I'd find images from magazines on diamonds and just do this thing. And God, I feel hot now. I want hot. So I do like a hot vision board. And I was really getting to essence, more than anything else. And so it was less about, okay, I want a vacation, I want this, I want that. It really became about feelings and essence and that kind of stuff. So immediately I was abstracting vision boards. And then I'd always been a graphic designer and typesetter. So once we moved into desktop publishing, I'm dating myself, of course, here, but um, and I discovered that I could make vision boards using that technology, right? So now I'm moving into digital vision boards, and then I started to put them in PowerPoint, and that was really, to me, the big thing. So I could have a vision board that was both very specific and very freeform, right? So I could like take a picture of something that I wanted to find a magazine, because at this point, no internet yet, and put them in this PowerPoint, and then just run the PowerPoint through when I was feeling discouraged or when I needed to really kind of latch on to this an essence of a feeling. And so I just kind of hit go and let the PowerPoint present itself to me, right? And I thought, oh my God, this is so brilliant, And I wish I could teach it to people, but at the time there was just no way. So then I became a web designer. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you can make an entire website about a vision board." So I did. I started using the blogging content technology to capture all the articles and snippets that I wanted. So, and then I arranged that, organized it into categories like I need to be uplifted, I need this for self mastery, all this, because I go nuts with information because I'm an information worker as well as being an artist. So anyhow, I just kept moving with this stuff. So as I started to learn new applications and platforms, I would just see if I could make a vision board out of it. So consequently, I got really good at vision boards, and also I can read people's vision boards. So there's like this way I can look at someone's vision board and really pull out, it's almost like a psychic reading, what the symbols are and why they chose certain things. And so that was very powerful because I'd have like vision board parties and stuff like that. So anyhow, I know vision boards like inside and out. And what I did though was I thought, okay, how can I show people how to make these like online vision boards, now mobile vision boards, simple, 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 so they don't have to know WordPress or use PowerPoint. So taught people how to do them in Facebook, how to make a Facebook page, just not publish it, and just jack that thing up with all the things that inspire you or that you want in your life, and just look when you're in Facebook, you just switch to your Facebook page and you just look at what you need to in order to shift to a place where you're going to feel better about what you want. Or if you need to focus and get into action, it helps you kind of, get to that yoga class, or, get moving on that book that you need to write on, because you have all of this material you compile that inspires you to action. So that's the short version of it, believe it or not. I love vision boards. I think they're great. Meet like multimedia vision boards, add music to it, and you are soaring with the experience of how you can design your life given what you have. In addition to like using that to get excited to take action to make the changes you need.
Hmm. That's brilliant using Facebook because we're addicted to the gadgets, most of us anyway. So, although it is fun to do the old fashioned cut and paste too, I love the old paper mosaic, paper collage myself. But
You can make old school vision boards. But what's cool about it is that you could actually take a photo, a digital photo of it, and put it on your Facebook page. And that way you have your vision board with you all the time. And, when you spill coffee on it and stuff, it won't affect the digital version of it.
right, I saw you have a really cute one for your dog.
Yeah, Ramon. I made a vision board. Well, that's how I tried to explain it. I did this video on how I made an online vision board on Facebook for my dog Ramon. So that's my tutorial video.
I love that you mentioned the essence because a lot of people don't understand that. That's a lot of what my work is. I work with women who want to manifest their dude, their men of their dreams. That was my second book. So, and they get hung up on the form.
Yeah, I bet they do.
They, well, forms are fun,
Yeah.
but you got to open to the essence. So it's always like, okay, well, you want this specific form, but what do you want to feel like? How do you want it to feel? What experience do you want to have? And that's the power place, because then you're letting the universe decide on the form, the best form, the quickest form.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Essence is everything. And I think when it comes to sort of getting what you want, right? So it's like I'm filled with desire, and I want a relationship, and there are just so many kinds of relationships that you can have. So in the end, it's what you want to feel in the relationship, because all that other stuff is just meaningless. It's just so material and so irrelevant, because in the end, you really are stuck with this. It's just a it's a person, but they're just a bag of water with hormones too. That's all. So you know, you you just want to make sure that the bag has got the contents that you like. Not necessarily the form.
But the point of the vision board is to conjure up those feelings, those vibrations that you wish to have in the relationship or in anything, in your new career or your new house or whatever, and to feel them now so the law of attraction can match you up with the actual physicalized experience, right? So it's an expediter, would you say, the vision board?
Well, so I think mechanically, at least for me, what goes on, and it has very much to do with resistance, right? So I think as you like, let's say I decided that I wanted to be in a relationship, and so I start to get to the essence of that, and I go, okay, I want to feel adored, right? Because I love to be adored. So I love to be adored by my partner, and so I'm just going to feel like that. Oh, it feels so good, and then I feel resistance come up. Oh, you don't want that, because along with the adoration comes blah 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 blah. And so what happens is that as I repeatedly enter adoration, or that essence that I want in a relationship, I start to break down resistance. And so what happens is that just by going to the essence over and over again, I'm all at the same time confronting my own resistance. So the essence brings up resistance, and then you can kind of deal with the resistance even before you manifest something.
Yeah, it brings up your limiting beliefs. I mean, that's how I would phrase that. because you'd say, oh, I want adoration, but it comes at the cost of freedom. And then you go, why do I believe that? Why do I believe a relationship has to curtail my freedom? It's because that's all I've seen. It's just a belief. Everything is possible. It's truly unlimited what's out there for us to experience, but it's our beliefs. I believe it's our beliefs that curtail what's possible for each of us.
I completely agree with that. And I think that one of the beauties of doing a vision board is that it really is an exercise in, confronting your limiting beliefs. In addition to when you're looking at what you want, and also gluing what you want on a piece of paper. There is a commitment there that goes on that kind of goes, oh, do I really want that? Yes, I do. No, I don't know. That kind of thing. So I think it's a great exercise in general.
Yeah, what you're saying is huge because a lot of people don't know that. They just make the vision board, and then when the resistance comes up, they try to sweep it under the rug. And what you're saying is so important. Like, no, you're supposed to use this. It's a process. It's not a magical thing, this vision board. It doesn't just like, bing, okay, it's all done for you. That would be nice, but we wouldn't be spiritual badasses if that were the case.
Right. That's right. Can we start a gang? Start a spiritual badass gang.
We have a Facebook gang. It's the Society of Spiritual Badasses. That's a start. So, how can people get a hold of you?
It's Mel Wells, MELWELLS, melwells.net.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your brilliance and your hilarity with us.
I'm glad I had some.